Hello, girls. I hope you're staying safe at home. To continue with the circulatory system, today we are going to start with the general plan of blood circulation in our body. Now, there are two blood circulations in our body. One is pulmonary, that is from the heart to the lungs and from the lungs back to the heart, and another one is systemic, that is from the heart to the different body parts and from the body parts back into the heart again. So basically, if you look at it, you will see that there is double circulation inside our body. Why? Because the blood flows twice in the heart before it completes one full round. Now the pulmonary circulation, pulmonary means lungs. Okay, when we talk about pulmonary circulation, we are talking about the circulation that starts from the pulmonary artery, that is, it starts from the right ventricle. So this is the right ventricle, and it divides into two branches that enter the two lungs, the left lung and the right lung. So it goes right up, divides into two, and it goes to the two lungs, and from there the oxygenated blood is collected and it is taken by the pulmonary vein back to the left auricle. Okay, so here you have the oxygenated blood coming from the lungs. Now the systemic circulation pertains to the main circulation in the body. It starts with the aorta that arises from the left ventricle. So this is your left ventricle. So from the aorta, this aorta arches back and continues as the dorsal aorta, and the aorta sends arteries to various body parts, to different parts of the body and to the tissues. From the body parts, the deoxygenated blood is carried, and then it is poured back into the heart. Okay, so basically you can see the blood is coming into the heart two times before it is completing one complete round. Okay, now next, hepatic portal system. Now when we talk about the hepatic portal system, we are talking about a blood system where for example, if we take the veins that comes from the stomach and intestines, do not directly take the blood to the posterior vena cava, which carries the blood back into the heart. Instead, from the intestines and stomach, capillaries, okay, again they form one vein, and again it will surround the liver. So blood capillaries. Okay, so this is a blood vessel. Basically, when we are talking about a portal system, we are talking about blood vessels which starts with capillaries and ends with capillaries. Okay, now hepatic, remember, always means the liver. So we are talking about, when we are talking about hepatic portal system, we are talking about the blood vessels which is going towards the liver. So from where does it come? It comes from the stomach and intestine. So the veins starting from the stomach and intestines do not go directly to the posterior vena cava. So first, where do they go? They go to the liver as a combined hepatic portal vein. The word hepatic, I told you, it means liver. Okay, so there it breaks up into capillaries in contrast to the general characteristic of a vein, and a new vein called hepatic vein. Okay, so is formed by their reunion, which joins the posterior vena cava. So from the stomach and the intestines, it joins, it goes to the liver, again there it breaks up into capillaries, again rejoins, and then the hepatic vein is formed, which carries the deoxygenated blood to the posterior vena cava, which takes it to the heart again. So when we define a portal vein, we define it as one which starts with capillaries and also ends in capillaries. So what is the main function of the hepatic portal system? The food which is absorbed by the stomach and the intestine is first taken to the liver, and in the liver it is stored as glycogen. Okay, and also to regulate the quantity of nutrients flowing into the general blood circulation. For example, excess sugar is stored as glycogen in the liver, and also certain poison, if it is absorbed through blood, they are detoxified in the liver. That is why it is very important that blood vessels from the stomachs and intestine must first go to the liver, either to store excess food, excess sugar, or to detoxify any toxins which had come in through the food. Now, in ICSE syllabus, remember children, you have to know the names of the blood vessels of the liver, hepatic, kidney, renal, and those entering and leaving the heart. Okay, so you can see here, artery means away from the heart, it carries oxygenated blood. Hepatic means going towards the liver. Renal, I told you, to the kidney renal artery, which is coming from the heart towards the kidney, which carries oxygenated blood. Okay, and then of course we already talked about the hepatic portal vein, which goes from the intestines and it goes into the liver. And then we have the posterior vena cava, which carries deoxygenated blood from the lower part of the body towards the heart. Then we have the hepatic vein, which carries deoxygenated blood from the liver. Hepatic means liver. Okay, then pulmonary means the lungs. Anterior vena cava, which brings deoxygenated blood from the upper regions of our body, including our head, our face, and our neck. Okay, and aorta, you know, it is the main blood vessel which comes out from the heart and carries oxygenated blood to different body parts. The aorta breaks up into different arteries, one which enters the liver, which is known as hepatic artery, and the other which breaks up into renal artery, which takes blood into oxygenated blood into the kidney. Okay, and then of course pulmonary artery, which carries deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lung. So let's take a quick look at the different blood vessels that enters the heart. Anterior vena cava, from the upper parts of our body into the right auricle atrium. It is formed by the union of jugular vein and subclavian vein, which is coming from the upper regions of our body. Next is posterior vena cava, which comes from the lower parts of the body into the right atrium. Okay, so they carry deoxygenated blood. Okay, next is pulmonary veins, which comes, pulmonary means lungs. Okay, so two veins from each lung into the left atrium. It is coming into the heart from the lungs, means it carries oxygenated blood. Okay, and next is blood vessels leaving the heart. Pulmonary artery, from right ventricle to the lungs. The only artery which carries deoxygenated blood is pulmonary artery. Otherwise, all arteries carry oxygenated blood. Okay, and next is aorta, from left ventricle to all other parts of the body. So aorta carries oxygenated blood, whereas pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood. And remember children, the only vein which carries oxygenated blood is pulmonary vein. And liver, I told you liver, you must remember hepatic. Okay, so blood vessels which enter the liver. Hepatic artery, artery carrying oxygenated blood from aorta into the liver. Hepatic portal vein, we already discussed, from stomach and intestine into the liver. And blood vessel leaving the liver, again liver means hepatic. Veins, veins always leave the organ, so from liver into posterior vena cava. And kidney, blood vessels entering the kidney. Renal artery, artery A, away from the heart, carrying deoxygenated blood from aorta into the kidney. And blood vessels leaving the kidney is renal vein, veins, all veins leave the organ, so from kidney into the posterior vena cava. Okay, next, moving on to the pulse. Now the arteries have elastic muscular walls. If you remember, we had already discussed that. So it distends, means it becomes slightly bigger. Okay, it relaxes whenever blood is forced through them due to the contraction of the heart. So this can easily be felt as a pulse. Okay, and you know how to feel your pulse by pressing the finger over an artery that has come up superficially, means near the surface of the skin, such as the radial artery of the wrist on the side of the thumb. And remember children, counting the pulse is indirectly counting the heartbeat. Okay, the pulse rate increases. Now if you are sick and you go to the doctor checks your pulse, doesn't he, to see whether your heart is beating fast or slow or whether it is normal. And remember children, this pulse rate increases if you are doing some physical exercise or even under certain emotions. So this is exactly where you'll feel your pulse. Okay, just near your thumb, just below your thumb in the wrist. So what is the pulse actually? It is the alternate expansion and elastic recoil of the wall of the artery during ventricular systole. Nowadays, blood pressure is a common term because so many people suffer from high blood pressure or low blood pressure. So you must have heard the term before. So when we talk about blood pressure, we are talking about the pressure which the blood flowing through the arteries exert on their walls. Okay, so there are two limits of this pressure. The upper limit, which is known as systolic pressure, which is at the time when fresh blood is pushing through the artery as a result of ventricular contraction of the heart. That means blood has come out from the heart and it is flowing through the artery. So that is the upper limit, which is known as systolic pressure. Okay, and next is the lower limit, that is diastolic pressure, is the one recorded when the wave has passed over. That is, the blood has finished flowing, fresh blood. That means there is ventricular contraction, blood is flowing through the artery. That is the upper limit. That time you measure the systolic pressure, and after this wave passes, the fresh blood passes over the artery, that is the lower limit, that is known as diastolic pressure. So the normal blood pressure for adults is 100 to 140 millimeter, and between 60 to 80 millimeter, that is diastolic. So a rise in blood pressure about 140 by 90 is known as hypertension or high blood pressure in popular language. Now, next we will talk about the tissue fluid and lymph. Now, tissue fluid or intercellular fluid, the fluid that is found between the cells. Now, as the blood flows in the capillaries of the tissue, the plasma and the leukocytes, the liquid part of the blood together with white blood cells, they leak out from the walls of the capillaries. Okay, so when it comes out from the blood capillaries, this fluid, that is the plasma together with white blood cells, okay, surrounds the cells, and then it is known as tissue fluid, okay, or intercellular or extracellular fluid. It is from this fluid that the cells absorb oxygen. So actually first the oxygen will move from the blood into the tissue fluid, and from there the cells will absorb the oxygen and other required substances, and in turn give out carbon dioxide and other wastes back into the tissue fluid. Now next is lymph and lymphatic system. Now some of the tissue fluid will be reabsorbed into the blood vessels, but most of it will not be reabsorbed, so it enters another set of minute channels. Very small channels are there which are known as lymph vessels, and once it enters the lymph vessels, then it is known as lymph. That is, now what happens first, the plasma, the liquid part of blood together with white blood cells, oozes out from the blood capillaries, surrounds the cells. It is known as intercellular fluid, okay, or the tissue fluid. Now this tissue fluid, some of it will be reabsorbed by the capillaries, it will go back into the capillaries, but maximum of it will enter another set of minute channels which are known as lymph vessels. So once it enters these lymph vessels, then it is known as lymph. Okay, so the lymph flows in these vessels due to contraction of the surrounding muscles. Okay, and this is again beneficial effect of physical exercise. The more you exercise, the more lymph will flow in the vessels. So the lymph vessels on the way drain lymph from lymph nodes, from where fresh lymph channels arise, and ultimately pour the lymph into the major anterior veins close to the entry into the right auricle, and again it goes back into the vena cava. Okay, the anterior vena cava, and then it goes back into the blood circulation again. Now, what is the lymph made up of? It is made up of only white blood cells, especially lymphocytes. It does not have any blood platelets, and it has water, and it has solid particles like proteins, fats, carbohydrates, enzymes, antibodies. About 6% maximum is water, about 94%. Okay, what is the function of lymph? It is nutritive, because there you saw how amino acids are there, proteins, carbohydrates, fats. So it supplies nutrition and oxygen to those parts where blood cannot reach. It drains away excess tissue fluid and metabolites and returns proteins to the blood from tissue species, from between the cells. Then it absorbs, it also has the function of absorption, where fats from the intestines are absorbed through the lymphatic lacteals. If you remember, in the intestinal villi, right at the center, lacteals were there. So fats from the intestine are absorbed through the lymphatics. And of course, defense, because it has white blood cells, lymphocytes and monocytes of the lymph function to defend the body. The lymphatics also remove bacteria. If any bacteria has entered, then those bacteria are also removed from the tissues. Okay, sometimes, you know, when you get a boil, a sore, you will get swellings in your groins or in near your armpits. Okay, so actually, what is that? That is a protective sign. Why? Because these lymph nodes are present between the groins and the armpits, so they localize the infection to the lymph nodes, and it does not prevent it, it does not allow the infection to spread to the entire body. The tonsils on the side of the neck are also lymph glands. Do you remember your tonsils in the neck, at the sides of the neck? They are also lymph glands. Another lymphatic organ is the spleen. Okay, it is about the size of a clenched fist. It is reddish brown in color, and you find it in the abdomen, just behind the stomach and above the left kidney. The function of the spleen, it acts like a blood reservoir. Supposing there is some emergency, like there is blood hemorrhage, physical or emotional stress, or sometimes even in carbon monoxide poisoning, what does the spleen do? It releases the blood it stores into the bloodstream. It produces lymphocytes, remember, white blood cells, and you know that red blood cells are mostly destroyed in the liver. Remember, red blood cells are also destroyed in the spleen. And in an embryo, when you are in your mother's womb, when you are in an embryo, that time the spleen produces red blood cells. So with this, we come to the end of the circulatory system. Now for your assignment, which you are supposed to submit on Wednesday, what I want you to do is to write down about the two blood circulations, that is pulmonary and systemic, draw the diagram and explain it. Okay, and what next? I will let you know in the WhatsApp group. Till then, children, stay safe. God bless you.